there's a documentary. It's called "The High Cost to Low Price." It's about Walmart. It could be about any store, any convenience store, any shopping market these days, because incorporation makes the creditor the god, and it gives the company the rights of an individual. So basically, it's probably the reason why America's going to hell is because of the incorporation, the way rights are given to corporations, and incorporating protects you pretty much against if you go bankrupt, then it lets everybody kind of go free of the debt, and then they just liquidate the company, and that's how the creditors get paid back. They can't chase down the people that were in the company and expect them to pay back, which is a major difference with incorporating. Anyhow, what corporations do is, since the creditors are the god, if they think they have a god, their god is the creditor. Their god is not God, it's the creditor. You pay money to the creditor, you give to the creditor to what the creditors, you give to God what's God's. So the thing is that the creditors will basically try to keep you from doing anything that benefits society. And so there's a thing called negative externalities. There's positive externalities. That's when you can do something in business that's good for the community and doesn't cost the community, actually saves them money. What negative externalities is when you offload your cost on the people that work for you, so that they have to supplant the cost themselves, and you make a margin based on how much of your cost you push off on them. So basically, you pay your employees almost nothing. They never make a living wage. They have to have two jobs in order to make a living wage. The minimum wage doesn't pay them enough. And, did this thing stop? No, it's still going. Okay, so that's the way it is. And as a result of that, working for such companies isn't really all that beneficial. Though I don't really need to work here, but I'm a good employee. If I wasn't, they would have fired me a long time ago. And I know lots of stuff. I know how to do more things than the average teenager knows in the company. So I'm kind of the glue, and I'm also kind of the lubricant, because I do tend to put money into areas where I see need fit, because Kroger will not. They will cut corners, and if you want anything, any kind of tool, it's like pulling teeth to try to get the management to let you get that tool and write it off. And so I just rather cut corners myself and buy the items that are necessary to do the job, such as I've bought our raincoats. One time we had a microwave that was out, and I gave them a microwave. So I'm kind of giving Kroger the benefit of a negative externality without them actually pushing it on me. But the thing is that a negative externality, it's happening to them because I see them working beyond their means. And it took them 100 years to get to $100 billion. And it took Amazon 20 years to get to $300 billion. And Walmart's at $500 billion GDP. And so Amazon it's not going to, another 20 years, they're probably going to make twice what they've got now. So they'll hit $1 trillion or so. I don't know, or more than that. They'll hit a lot of money, and that's the reason why all the grocery store chains are scared. And I would say to Kroger, try to focus in on how much you can make yourself appetizing to Amazon, so they'll come and buy your store chain up, because you're not going to be able to survive against Amazon and Walmart and Costco and all these other guys. when they start paying their employees better than minimum wage. And I mean, you really when they hire people for bagging jobs, they're looking at retarded people. People are slow. People who are autistic. They're looking at people who couldn't get a job. And I mean, and so the customers expect that the guy at the end of the table is not going to be able to bag the groceries, right? That's the reason why the customers have a tendency to try to manipulate the bagger at the other end of the table, is because they expect them to not be mentally adequate. And I'm not that guy. And I've got a computer science degree among all other things, and I've got a handicap. It's called aphasia, and aphasia is kind of an audio dyslexia. Makes it really hard for me to understand communications, but also makes it really easy for me to have the patience to deal with other people who have communications problems. And I'm kind of the icing on the cake, because I can befriend and understand the others who have disabilities and mentally impaired and all that. I have the patience for it. I'm sorry I use the word retarded, but I don't. It is what it is, you know. It's either retarded or it's limited, or they would say it's learning difference, but that's really kind of being too politically correct. It's best that you just tell it for what it is, but don't keep it from allowing the person to become what they want. We have a girl who is is mentally impaired, and she's really nice, and she's really she is one of the most driven people. She will not let anybody do anything for her, and she will say things like, "I'm going to go home and drink beer and wine," and everybody knows that her mom will let her have that. But the thing is that she kind of has a kind of a fantasy life, and she's in her fantasy life, she gets all the things that she wants. And she talks like she's already there, you know, that she's got Justin Bieber waiting at home with wine and beer, and she's going to watch the fashionistas or something like that. She's really pretty cool. And so you just have to see people for who they want to be, and let them be what they want to be. And that's important. But I really wish that these companies would start to see that pushing policy down on the little guys is really not going to be very beneficial. The little guys are going to know more about the customer than they do. Like, I know to pick up carts from customers that they're wheeling them their car, they don't want to wheel that cart back. It's going to be greater benefit to them to have that cart taken to the stall. And if Kroger was really thinking about it, they would see that their benefit is not only the variety that their store has, but also that the service could be a lot better than the other stores by having people outside on the lot actively taking carts from the customers and putting them in the stalls. And that could be the people that are mentally handicapped doing that. They could do that very easily, and it would be a good service, you know. Thank you.
Sure.
And that's what I do whenever somebody brings in their own cart, you know, because they could, some of them don't usually do that. They usually put it up on the edge of the curb or something like that. And so bringing in their cart does tend to make some probably lazier, but it also helps them to see the reason why they might come back to the store. And so I'm always looking for little value adds I can add to Kroger, and hopefully one of these days they're going to start to recognize that I'm adding value adds that they don't even have in their service in their policy or in their vision statement or wherever it is that they're putting stuff these days about the kind of store that they are. The vision statement, the reason why Bezos is leading is because he has a clear, he's an inspiration. He's going for the stars. He inspires people in that way. The creditors know that he's driven. He's got his targets beyond just making money. And he's probably got a really good vision statement, a business plan. And it's not abstract, and it's not vague or anything like it might be in some other stores. And you could read through most business plans and see that they're going to pander to their creditors and not to the customers. They need to think about getting past the incorporation. If they got a fiduciary responsibility to the creditors, don't be a bad boy. Go outside the lines. Do things that are going to cost your creditors some. If it causes them to lose, or they may go to the government, you could just point out that you're trying to increase the positivity. You're trying to affect the customer through public relations. You're trying to improve the customer's perspective of your company. Also, not try to control the people that work there, trying to make them happy and everything whenever their lives might not be all that happy. It's like you're taking the human aspect away from them. And the customers are going to respect the workers more if they know the workers are trying their best, and that the workers have a soul and that they're not invisible. People